What does it take to build a sustainable music career? Do you need to be a really good musician? Is it about who you know? Do you have to pay dues before the gatekeepers let you in, or what? Well, what if I told you it's way easier than you think? There's just 5 trade secrets that you need to know, and I'm sharing them with you in this video so you get the results you want in your music career. So being a musician is really tough. It can sometimes feel like we're doing all of this work and practicing and learning and growing and waiting for opportunities that never come. And over time, we not only start just accepting that this is just the way things are, we totally give up on the idea that as musicians, we can have success and financial stability. And the reason this happens is because we focus on the wrong things. But if you get these 5 time-tested concepts down that I'm about to share with you, you will fast-track your way to a very lucrative music career. And I had a real epiphany about the first one. So some years ago, I was scrolling social media and I come across a post from a big-name jazz artist that I follow. And the post said that they were looking for music producers in the genre of jazz and gospel to help produce their next project. So I was thinking, hey, I'm a music producer and I produce music in these genres. Maybe I should submit my name for it. And the worst they could do is say no or not respond. And we musicians are used to that anyway. So I sent a message that said, hey, I saw your post. I produce this kind of music and I would love to show you some of my work. And I got a response. So I sent some samples of some music I had produced and they loved them. And one thing led to another, and I ended up getting the job of producing 3 tracks on this artist's new album. Now, mind you, this person lived in a completely different area than me, so all of the ins and outs that were going to be between us with this project was going to be over text, emails, and phone calls. And I communicated with them often. They never had to worry about where I was in the production process or worry about if I had gotten money that they sent me. I gave them dates of completion and I just overall gave them much more than what they asked for. And so it went well. But while I felt really honored to get the job, I knew that there must have been hundreds of other music producers that submitted their name too. So I wonder, why did I get the job? And during the production process, the artist actually told me why. And I can't remember if I actually asked them or they just came out and told me. But it's something that I will never forget, and it's the first principle of how you build a sustainable music career. The artist looked me in my eye and said to me, the reason I chose you out of all of the other people that submitted was because you were the most professional. When you reached out, you didn't start by asking about money. You showed confidence and you sent samples of your work, and I immediately knew that you were someone I wanted to work with. And so the principle here is, you guessed it, professionalism. You have to show professionalism even when everyone else around is being unprofessional, because professionalism is at the foundation of a sustainable music career. And it's at the core of the other principles I'm about to share with you, which leads me to the next one. So let me ask you a question. Let's say you have a splitting headache, like level 10, really bad. And you go to the store to get some medicine for this headache, and you walk down the medicine aisle and you see a bottle of medicine that's labeled painkillers. And on the other side of the aisle, you see a bottle that says for splitting headaches. Which of these bottles are you more likely to buy for your headache? The one that says splitting headaches, right? And the reason you would choose this one is because it's specific to your needs. And this is a metaphor for the next principle that you need for a sustainable music career. See, so many other bands and musicians are out here just being that bottle of painkillers. They're generic. Yeah, they can play, yeah, they sound good, but they're just like the thousands of other bands and musicians that can play and sound good. And here's the thing. When people are planning events and stuff that they're going to hire bands and musicians for, they're looking for something specific for those needs, just as you were looking for something specific for your needs when you had a headache. Nobody wants to choose the generic painkillers type of band or musician. And this is exactly why tribute bands get so much work. for that 80s party that these people are trying to have. They say, hey, let's get the Michael Jackson tribute band that has the Michael Jackson impersonator. See, that's specific. But here's what this means for you. In order to have a sustainable career in today's era where there's so much competition out there, you need to be the go-to person for something specific. And you need to be the first in mind when someone who's hiring thinks of that specific thing. In other words, you need to be known for something. And you've heard people talk about the concept of finding your niche before. Well, this is exactly what that is. And the way you do this is really simple. You just take your strengths and you package them as something more specific. So instead of being just a generic painkiller rock band, for example, you're a band that caters to wedding couples over 35 who enjoy classic rock music. See, that makes you a meaningful specific rather than a wandering generality. Now, this next one takes these last two and supercharges them. So you remember in the jazz artist story I just told that I gave them more than expected, right? Well, what that did was plant a seed with this artist that has continued to harvest results for me even to this day. Because what happened is that artist recommended me to other artists, and then those artists recommended me to other artists, and it's just snowballed from there. And this reaffirmed a very powerful principle that I continue to use in my career today. And it's so easy, and it yields crazy results. You see, people are always looking to get something extra, or they want to feel like they got a good deal. That's why when things go on sale, people rush out to get them for the deal, even when it's really not a deal. But what I'm talking about here is a concept called UPOD, which means under promise and over deliver. And the way this supercharges the other two concepts is when you over deliver in professionalism, concept 1, you become known for that, concept 2. And one of the ways that I do this is I always follow up with people who hire me at least once or twice. So on Monday morning after a Saturday night gig, I'm sending emails, text messages, and saying, hey, thank you for hiring me. Really hope you enjoyed it. I had fun. Looking forward to the next one. But this UPOD thing is a core principle that you need to have if you want a sustainable music career. Now, so far, we've covered how professionalism, being known for something specific, and exceeding expectations can fast track your career. But stick with me because these next two is where the real magic happens. Now, let me ask you another question, and you know the answer to this one. But how do almost all musicians who get put on tours with major artists get put on them? It's almost always through somebody they know, right? Like they knew somebody that knew somebody else that was connected to Beyonce's booking agent that heard that they were looking for a guitar player and your name came up, right? And it's usually the same with even smaller opportunities. Like all of us have had gigs and opportunities that we've been put on because of our friends or someone we're connected to, right? And this gives us some really powerful insight into what we need to do to have sustainable music careers. One of the world's most rich and successful people is a man by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. He's the guy that wrote the popular book I'm sure you've heard of called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a book that you definitely should read, by the way. But he said, success is not about what you know, it's about who you know and how you treat them. And it all comes down to this core principle of focusing on building authentic relationships. And one of the ways I do this is I just try to treat people as fairly as I possibly can. I had a situation just a couple of weeks ago where I hired a musician for a gig and they thought that I told them a certain price and I didn't. And we had text messages and stuff to back me up. But I could see when I told them that they were really disappointed by it. So I just gave them the extra money because it wasn't a whole lot. And I knew that that would build a bond of trust between me and this musician. That's exactly what I mean by focusing on building authentic relationships with people. And it's a core principle that will definitely help you have a sustainable music career. Okay, now, I want you to imagine that someone asks you to put a 5-piece band together And in that 5-piece band, you're going to have to choose one of the members to be the musical director of the band. And in this band, you've got all of the standard instruments, and all of the players are masters on their instrument, except for one. One of them is just pretty good on his instrument, but he's also a multi-instrumentalist, so he's also pretty good on all of the other instruments that's in the band as well. Who are you choosing to be the musical director? It's the guy that's pretty good on all of the instruments, right? Here's why this is important. You've probably heard that you need to be a master at this, and you need to be really honed in and focused on this one thing, this one instrument, this one concept. And while that does have some merit, it's just not sound advice in the world that we live in today if you want a sustainable music career. I mean, just think about it. It's not the person who speaks perfect English that's likely to get the job. The person that's likely to get the job is the person that speaks pretty good English and pretty good Spanish. And what that means for us musicians who want sustainable music careers is that we need to adopt this concept of alternative skill development. And that may mean learning more than one or two instruments, or learning light and sound production, or video production, or even music production. It can be any number of things. It's like building a safety net. Like if one of these things don't work out, you have something else to fall back on. But most of all, it makes you more valuable. And being more valuable is the thing that's going to help you have a sustainable music career. Now, although you now have the keys to building a sustainable music career, you won't fully unlock your potential until you understand why 92% of musicians struggle to make it. And that's something you'll discover in this video right here. So check it out right now so you understand what sets successful musicians apart from unsuccessful ones.